Failure is the thing that people are scared of. People need to learn how to embrace because there's learning in the failure. Economic power is owning the space and dictating what people can do in the space. For me, I was like, I bet we gonna go get a space. I faced death twice. Both times, bro, I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it. The real currency of this planet is time.
Movements start with mindsets and the people bold enough to build them. If you've ever wondered how culture and technology can coexist to build ecosystems, if you've thought about what it takes to create space for Black innovation and belonging, or if you're passionate about building infrastructure that reflects our stories, then this episode is for you. And today, I have the pleasure of joining my brother, Arif, entrepreneur, technologist, and visionary founder of P.A.C.E. C619 and the Union Seattle. His work is redefining what community innovation looks like when culture leads. My man.
My brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for creating space. You're definitely one of the busiest humans I know, and I love that you just got a little battery in your back and it just keeps on going. Some folks know me through Elite Collective, but you're also one of one of my rare friends that can date us a little bit. But your earliest Carlos Imani memory.
Carlos Imani running around the clubs with a camera in people's face, and it was like going to C-Spot the next day to see if Carlos took your picture. Whether it was Art Bar or whatever club was popping back then, you've always been on the media forefront for Seattle, and I always think about what we now coin as this term, the creator economy, is a weird term for me. Because I've always been getting my money from creating. It ain't a new economy. Right. But, politicians have to find things to talk about and create policy around. But for me, it's always come from entertainment and media. And that is, either you were making beats, rapping, had a studio, or had a camera. Right, and that's all. Whether it's the blog era or the '90s or whatever it is, there's some of us who've always just been creators. I
was about to say, and you're one of the few humans I know that actually got money from every single one of those things you talked about. From the music, from the cameras, from the tech side. One of my fond memories, I'm pretty sure Kun had introduced us. Yo, you got me, my man. He's from New York. My mom's from the Bronx. Was born, and I have fond memories of going back and visiting family back there. So I always like to meet folks that have came out here as well. But it was dope because he's doing his thing at Microsoft. And for me, I think I was probably 19, 20. It was man, that's dope. That's one of the biggest companies in the area. We're all striving to get to the level to where we could work with Microsoft, and you're doing that. But then it was oh yeah, but he also does this and Vibe Heavy and all these things. And it was for me, it was man, this guy is freaking amazing.
It was a blessing, man. That's how I got to Seattle. I dropped out of college, came out here. I was one of the early members on the Xbox team.
Shout out to Xbox.
Yeah.
Halo. I know Vic spent many a years not in class.
On that. But before that, I was an intern at Microsoft, and I was studying computer science. And you and I were talking a little bit about this before getting going. I'm a designer. I'm an artist by nature. I had my first record deal when I was 17 years old in New York. Decided not to pursue that full time because of the inequities in the music industry that I saw. And I was also a geek. I was this kid that used to play with computers a lot. And so I always envisioned what would a record label of the future look like if it was equitable, if it was digital. And so I went away to college, and even though I was always working on this idea, but I was an architecture major. I was always designing, drawing, sketching.
Can we take a minute? This is actually news to me. That was a big part of your identity in terms of I think you said you've been studying architecture since you was 8.
Since I was 8 years old, man. I give credit to my uncle. My uncle was studying to be an architecture major at Tuskegee. Funny enough, he was that uncle that was older enough that you looked up to him, but young enough it wasn't like a father. It was like a big brother. Yeah. And so it was almost everything he wanted to do, I almost just thought I wanted to do it. So when he was I'm studying to be an architect, I was yeah, me too. I don't even know what that means. Right. And he told me, and I was oh yeah, man, I draw, I sketch, I do all that now. So I started just kind of doing it. And in New York, we have, at the time, we had 3 specialized high schools that you could test to get into. Brooklyn Tech, Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, and one in each of the boroughs. And so I tested and I got into Brooklyn Tech. And Brooklyn Tech was a school that was focused on technology and engineering. And after your first 2 years, you just took kind of general studies. And then your last 2 years, you had to pick a major, like college, and my major was architecture. And so I studied architecture, got really good at it, won some competitions, was teaching architects after school how to, use AutoCAD. The computer was just becoming popular back then. So that's how I wound up getting to Tuskegee, man. I went to Tuskegee to study architecture like my uncle. And then in my junior year, I mentioned to you, like, going to my first career fair and realizing how much money architects did not make. And I was like, yo, this is bananas. A whole lot of schooling, too. Like, you go to school architecture for like 5 years just to graduate.
Right.
And then you have to do like another like 2-3 years apprenticeship, then licensing. Like, it's like a doctor.
A doctor, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But then you make $28,000. And nobody talks about like that part of it.
Right.
And so I'd always been a kid that was like hacking. I was into computers. I went to the specialized high school, so that's what got me into computers. And I was already thinking about like this record deal I turned down at 17 and like how to build a label. So while I was studying architecture, I was like writing code to build a digital record label, like what became MySpace Music. I had built years before that as a student. And an executive was visiting Tuskegee, kind of came in. I had switched to computer science, so it was like I was a junior, but my freshman year computer science. And the guy's looking over my shoulder at this code that I'm writing that's not my schoolwork. It's building this record label. It was called hustlehard.net, what ultimately became Hustle Hard Entertainment when I was in school, which became Invisible Man, which became Five Heavy. So this is something I've been working on since I was, I look back, like my company DNA goes back to my childhood. But yeah, that's how I kind of got out here. It was like I dropped out of college. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse to come to Microsoft and work on Xbox. So I dropped out of college and did that. But the whole time, I always looked at Microsoft was the side hustle.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it was the side hustle.
I love it. I love it. That's like a shout out to someone that's like working a job out there, but it's like at the end of the day, you got to follow your passions.
Yo, bro,
you got to do what brings you joy.
It's this weird thing where we think people like who work jobs as suckers. Like, them the smartest people in the world to me. I always tell people, like, my earliest companies, I didn't have investors because I had a job. Like, I could take my money from Microsoft or these other things, and then I pour it into this other thing. That's my passion. I don't got to go out here beg, borrow, and steal. So I think when you learn how to live a duality as an entrepreneur and an employee, man, it teaches you a lot. Also, being an employee teaches you how to be a better boss and a better leader, right? Because, in order to lead, you got to know how to follow.
Absolutely.
And being an employee sometimes is following somebody else's system, somebody else's regimen, somebody else's thing. And so I didn't understand that, man. Like, I think early on in my career, I was like frustrated employee, wishing that the company moved different or my boss moved different. And then when I left fully and started Vibe Heavy, it was just like, all right, I'm 100% entrepreneur mode. I would have young people come work for me and start having all these ideas. And I'd be like, yo, bro, just follow the regimen. Like, I'm not really interested in your ideas. Right. And so, but it takes some time to understand what's on the other side of that.
And a big part of that is like systems. Like, one thing is, especially as an entrepreneur, like, you have your vision, right? But it's like, all right, how can I communicate that effectively to these group of people to help push it forward? And so many things, like I'll find frustrations in, and it was actually summer of last year where I was doing a lot of like introspection and like kind of leadership development and kind of rebranding Elite Collective. I came up with my power words of elevate, amplify, engage, and like, what do those mean to me? And just kind of redefining that company culture. But a lot of it was like, man, anything that I see wrong, I have to own, because it's like, what kind of training did I give that person?
Yeah.
And I can't expect you to be me. I need you to be you, and then I need to set you up for success. And a lot of it, like you said, comes from those systems. A lot of times, if you have companies, if they do nothing, they're very good at, if you die, they will replace you tomorrow, and nothing is different.
Yeah.
And it could be cold, but there's something to be said about the systems that are in place in order for that to happen. But there's been times in my company's existence where if I get sick, man, we're shut down.
Yeah.
We're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
And
that's when you realize you don't really have a company. You got a job.
Right. You own your job.
Yeah. Like, the thing I just finished telling my team today was how I realized how much in my various companies and entities, people are still coming to me asking me for stuff. And I literally today was on y'all are all empowered to make decisions, and they might not be the best decision, but go make them. Because if you have to proxy everything through me, none of you are empowered. Right. And I brought you here because you all smart people. Like, you do your thing, whatever your thing is, do it, fail and learn. And so I think the failure is the thing that like people are scared of. Was the thing that I think people need to learn how to embrace is failure, because there's learning in the failures. And as long as you haven't, like, if death ain't on it, we gonna bounce back.
No, I love that. I like to provide a situation that allows our people to fail forward.
Yep.
Because we know a lot of folks that have benefited greatly from
Our
being able
community
to do
don't
that.
usually get that
Right, and that's the
benefit
thing.
to
It's like,
fail
man, this
forward.
is a safe place
Yep.
within that sense where it's like, obviously, don't do no dumb stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not here for that. But if you take a chance, make a decision, but know that, let's talk about that. Let's figure out another path forward. But like you said, you can't learn if you don't take that chance. Because if anything, you'll fail, and you'll be able to figure another way out around that. And I've always been, if I'm, I did, you met me doing photography, and a lot of times I'm training my folks. I'm like, man, what took me 3 years, I want you to do it in a year and a half. Let me shorten that learning curve. A month, right?
A month, yeah, right.
Learn from my failures, but there's going to be things that I never seen that you'll run into, and it's like, there is no best answer. There's a answer, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and then we'll move forward. So if anything, we found a way that doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
You had spoke to me about how you just come from like a whole pod of creatives, like your sister. And
I just been around fly people, man.
Come on.
My whole life, man. And like from my family to not my family. And I think if you start with just one fly person, fly people attract fly people. I stay away from suckers.
Sucker free.
Yeah, man. Like, I stay away from haters and naysayers. They attract a certain kind of energy in the universe. Like, there's no, it's positive and negative. That's the balance of the universe, right? In order to have light, you got to have darkness. Right? Those two things coexist. So for me, I stay in the light. I stay away from the dark. And people who like play in the dark, I stay away from them because they're going to attract the dark. You know what I mean? So, we got a saying at Vibe Heavy, we do dope shit, which means quite simply, like, is this shit dope? And is it dope because I think it's dope, or is it dope because somebody told me it's dope? And you can't tell me something's dope if you whack. So I don't even care what you think. I know I'm dope. And so if I'm looking at this and I say this is dope, the whole room could tell me it's not dope. This is the dopest shit ever. And I think that has shaped my personality because I'm always moving into places in spaces that other people aren't in, because if I have to wait for somebody else to give me permission to do it, then I'm not dope. I don't trust myself, right? I don't trust my compass for what's going on. And so that also means I got to always ask somebody else for permission, right? And so I think that has shaped me. I get inspired, bro, when I see people do fly things. I know sometimes it can create a hater thing in some people to see other people do things. For me, I see somebody do something fly, and I'm like, ooh, that's fly. I'm about to go do something fly. You see what I'm saying? Not like, oh, I don't like what they doing. Nah, bro, that's fly. Like, what my man did is like, so that's what, like, even with some of the stuff that I'm doing right now around, like, footwear and fashion, like, it's just taking ourselves back to a starting point of, like, I got a fly crew tapping in all my homies, and it's like, yo, we about to go do this footwear thing, right? Because, we always been footwear people. We always been trendsetters. Like, people always been jacking styles from us. So let's just go lean in and let's see what we can go create. You know what I mean? So I think that's what inspires me, man. Shape my perspective is just staying cutting edge, staying innovative, not asking for permission from people to live, and really trusting that, like, that compass, that internal thing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I've seen throughout the years. Like, yo, I'm here. I'm me. You fuck with me or you don't. Either way is perfectly fine.
I don't do gray area. People either like me or they hate me, and I'm okay with that. I'm from Brooklyn, bro. That's how it's supposed to be. Right? You know what I mean? I like that. I like binary decisions. Yay or nay, go or stop.
That's probably why tech worked out so good. Like, man, is it a 1 or is it a 0?
Or a 0.
Let's go.
No maybes. Yeah.
What was it like, that path of kind of going into P.A.C.E? Let's start with that one first.
P.A.C.E was interesting. So P.A.C.E stands for the Pan-African Center for Empowerment.
Come on.
Pan-Africanism for me is how I was raised. It's how I was nurtured. In the 80s, as an 80s baby, we called it Afrocentric. You know what I mean? I was a Kwanzaa kid. Yeah. I ain't celebrate Christmas. I was initiated at 8 years old into African spirituality. I didn't grow up in a church. No knock on people, on their religious beliefs, but like, I grew up as a very free thinker, a non-colonized mind by European thoughts and ideas. So there's a certain amount of power that comes from that because you're not navigating what people now call woke. Like that was, to me, was weird, because like what you waking up from, like I ain't never been asleep.
Right.
You know, I've always seen what it was. I was a kid getting kicked out of school because they teaching, you know, Egyptology like something like is European, and I'm like,
Right.
nah, bro. Like the temple, that thing on the temple walls actually says this, because I could read Medunetta.
Right.
Right. And I'm
Come
like,
on.
that don't say that, right? You know, rest in peace to my Baba Samaj, who just transitioned, is one of the foremost Kemetic thinkers in the country. You know, I came up under, you know, his tutelage and others. So back in 2014 or so, we had sold part of Vibe Heavy as a company, 7-figure exit on some technology that we hadn't even put out into the world. And I was sitting around like, okay, we did a little thing, but then Trayvon Martin happened, Tamir Rice happened, Mike Brown happened, all in the same like few month period, and we watched these young men get killed on social media. And I was sitting with a couple homies of mine. I was born in Chicago, actually. I was born in Chicago, and I was raised in New York. But a heavy, you know, my Chicago family always gets mad when they're like, you always talk about you from New York. But I always say I was born in Chicago, and New York is who you blame on my personality, because me and my mother moved to New York when I was 4. But I was always go back and forth to Chicago. And so 2 good friends of mine were also from Chicago. None of us grew up rich, you know, south side of Chicago, navigating the impoverished ways of life in the city. But here was 2 brothers like myself who all had, like, you know, they done well for themselves, right? We had made a little bit of money, and I was sitting on a call with them like, yo, why is it that we here and other brothers are not? What is it about? And I think the thing for me that was common for all of us is technology saved our lives. And I wanted to figure out what I could create that could go back and get brothers and sisters. I can't save everybody, but we can save 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 30, 50, whatever. And so the first thing we started to realize was that, like, there was this brand of blackness that was being sold to us that was destruction. So we started a first thing called Black Rebrand, which was Talented 10th. We started this positive newsletter kind of thing we were putting out. My godbrother in Chicago, Toussaint, was doing the design. A local sister here, Breon Barron, was doing a lot of the writing for it. I was doing a lot of strategic thinking, and then that led into the same brother who I was on the phone with calls me one day, and he's like, yo, I started this tech training program in Oakland. And I said, how'd you get into that? He was like, funny enough, I was on the street. This kid tried to rob me. Came up to him with a 38 special. It was like, run your jewels.
Right.
And he told the kid, because he's from Chicago, he was on some like, yo, put the gun down, kid. Like, I'll give you what you want. But, like, chill out. Cops might see you. I don't want this to turn into something else. And something about that kid, like, it resonated with him that, like, homie wasn't scared. You know, she's like, yo, you hungry? You want to go get something to eat? Like, I'll give you my money, but let me feed you. And the kid went for it. He asked the kid what was going on. The kid was basically like, yo, we can't afford to live in our place anymore. Like, we getting pushed out of Oakland. Oakland's being gentrified. Kind of what we seeing with the CD now, right? But it was happening earlier in the Bay Area. And he asked the kid, he said, did you finish high school? Kid was like, yeah. He's like, you good in math? Kid was like, yeah, I was decent. He said, I'm going to teach you how to code. And he wound up teaching this kid how to code. And a year later, that kid was at Facebook.
Wow.
As an engineer. And so he had built this whole curriculum. He was like, bro, what you think? He like, could you join the board with me and help me do this? So I did. I started helping him with that down in Oakland. And I said, I want to bring this to Seattle. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to teach web development and product management and design. So I created what was then became Floodgate Academy Seattle. And that's how P.A.C.E kind of really started getting our wings, is we started teaching adult learners how to code. Wrote a grant through the Obama administration, brought a $4 million grant to Seattle for tech education and workforce development. And then from there, we started, branching out into other things, creating programs. And so now we have programs across science, technology, entrepreneurship, arts, media, health, and wellness. And we run about, P.A.C.E is the umbrella organization. I like to call it like a holding company. Yeah. But we run probably 10 to 12 other brands and like nonprofit organization programs under that one brand. So that's how we got to it, yeah.
Like you said, it's so needed. Like the story you mentioned down in Oakland, like, I mean, one, that sounds like it's a movie. Yeah. And it's things like that where you don't know what match is going to be struck when, where, but it comes from that desire of just wanting to help and like understanding like, yo, I was this close to being in your shoes if one thing would have went a different way or what,
we was whatever. That kid, bro.
Yeah. Because so many times folks is like, well, I'm good. And they're just.
Yeah, I think the thing about us is we never been scared of our community. Like I pull up, bro. I'm not scared of my people, bro. Like I understand our traumas, but I also understand like how to move, So I'll pull up in South Africa and Soweto, Yeovil, Joburg, like, yeah, I'm gonna take the jewelry off and I'm gonna come over here looking like food in front of a bunch of hungry dogs. But like, I'm not scared of my people.
Right.
You know, I go to Oakland, I tap in with my brothers, Fab and them, and Dope Era. Like, we pull up. I love Fab and them down there in Oakland because they from an element, but they in them streets trying to fix them streets. They trying to heal that hood. And so for us, you know, that's a major part of our ethos is like, you can't be, you know, it's too many programs that's built for the elite of us, for the bourgeoisie, for the black excellence.
Right.
But like, who's going back to get the ones that's in the hood that y'all scared to sit down and talk to? And so for us, you know, we've always built programs and engagement that is for everybody, is for the entire collective of our community.
Tell me a little bit more about the C619, what folks can see with that.
Yeah, C619 is a 3-part nonprofit initiative of P.A.C.E. It's 1 part business association, it's 1 part incubator, and it's 1 part accelerator. The business association is focused on brick and mortar retail businesses, right? People who have storefronts where, like, because if you look in the black community, there's a lot of solopreneurs, there's a lot of hustlers, right? Like, we all can sell and make something and do something. There's a different level of challenge you have when you actually go get a lease, put a point of sale system.
There, yeah.
Right? And then you got to have
every
like,
month, no matter what you sell.
The first of the month come every 14 days.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, this whole thing of like, what does it look like? And so for me, I realized that there was, you know, we as the union, we've been downtown Seattle for now 7 years in a brick and mortar space, right? I now own a shoe shop downtown in a brick and mortar space. There's something about watching black entrepreneurs in these brick and mortar spaces, man, hustle so hard that they don't even have time to even think about what they don't have time to do. And they're missing out on these opportunities of like economies of scale with one another. Like, you can watch people paying the money for the same thing and going like, if y'all just stopped and talked, you might be able to alleviate some of your own stress and burden. So it goes back to these Afrocentric principles like cooperative economics.
Come on.
Right? So I say C619 on the business association is all about cooperative economics. I'm working on models to try to get black business owners to think about like, should we collectively be paying one insurance agent to insure us all in a collective policy? Should we be thinking about suppliers? You buy ice and you buy ice, like y'all getting a different price because you buying it solo versus if we buy it as a collective, right? So like these notions of just what does it mean to like bring cooperative economics to brick and mortar retail? That's kind of what the business association is. The incubator is to take people who have business ideas. They may be in the very early stages or late stages of formulating those ideas and take them to the market. How do you do that with a team of advisors? How do you do that with mentors, people who are not here to take a piece? Right? Because I think when I was starting out early and I wanted to do a lot of things, I couldn't find people, bro, that looked like me who just wanted to help.
Right.
And I think about like, how much further would I be in life if somebody just showed up to help? That was just like, yo, shorty, I'm gonna give you some game.
Right. So instead of 3 years, it could be a day, a month.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, and I've done well for myself, but I could only imagine if somebody came and put a battery in my back.
Right.
It was just like, I just want to see you get there. And so for me, like, I just believe in part of the energy of this universe is even though if you didn't have it, you got to go do it. So like, for me, it's that we lift as we climb. It's that Sankofa model of doing stuff. Like, how do we go back and help people get there? So that's what the incubator is all about, helping people formulate companies, start ideas. Or you could be like, you got a restaurant, but you've been thinking about a food truck, but that's a whole different business. That's a whole different business model. So yes, you might be running something over here, but you need to go incubate a new idea. Or we have a food product that I'm working with, Sheesh hot sauce, really dope hot sauce. First thing came out and I watched them selling a hot sauce and I was like, so let me get this right. You put the hot sauce on a chip and that's how people taste it. They were like, yeah. So I was out watching them and one day people just kept eating the chip. And I was like, yo, they think the hot sauce is on the chip. They're like, I know sometimes they eat the chip before we give them the hot sauce. I said, so why don't you just make a chip? So they were like, oh, how would we do that? So I went home and I dehydrated their hot sauce and like did some things. I've always messed around with food products and food chemistry. Next thing you know, we fried up some chips. So now, even though that's one product running off here, now we're incubating chips, incubating rubs, incubating other things. So consumer packaged goods is another area that I'm playing with out of the incubator and accelerator. I think there's this whole notion that black people have always been innovative around food products and health and beauty, right? So how do we help people actually get to consumer packaged goods? And then the accelerator is more companies that have been running. They have revenue. How are you thinking about growth? How are you thinking about a next funding round, whether that's a loan, whether that's a venture round, whether that's bootstrapping? So those are those three things, but it really is a structured nonprofit community-based program to help Black entrepreneurship. That's what C619 is.
And then I guess that leads to our third part of all of that is run underneath the umbrella of the union.
Yeah.
And for some folks that haven't had the pleasure of, and you need to get down there, like you said, brick and mortar, 7 years, no excuses. But tell us a little bit about the space.
If P.A.C.E is the roof of all of our initiatives, the union is the foundation.
Okay.
That's kind of how I like to think about it. It's our physical space. Primarily, it was created and still operates as an educational facility for us. So as I mentioned, teaching coding. Floodgate Academy Seattle no longer operates in the same manner. We actually wound up splitting with Floodgate Academy California. We had a different DBA on that name, and we created a new educational program called Koya Academy. During teaching coding, I realized everybody's not going to be an engineer. And I also saw AI coming years ago, where it was just like, yo, bro, it don't make sense to teach people how to code when the computer's going to be coding themselves.
Right.
So we started creating both technical training. So we still do vibe coding classes, a lot of virtual classes, but we also then started creating non-technical training around design, around software automation, SOP processing. Now we're getting into vocational skills. So that facility still operates very much as a place where we teach. Mm-hmm. Inside of that, the union also became a third place. It became a co-working facility because so many people were like, man, can I just stay here after class? Can I work on this thing? We were like, yeah, well, like we already paying the rent. Why not?
Right.
And so we have another set of people who just literally come and operate their businesses or just drive innovation out of there. And it has become a cultural, a community hub for Black innovation, where now I come in there and I'll watch members talk to each other about a thing, and then they'll go off and they're building something. So the amount of stuff that I've seen come out of the union, built out of the union, is amazing. During the pandemic, obviously we all shut down. Running the physical space was hard. The number of people who started coming to us as members wanting to podcast or wanting to shoot videos, I'm a filmmaker, we shot a lot of stuff for our own nonprofit. We already had the gear, and so people were trying to get into it, and we realized, like, okay, this podcasting thing is really taking off. So back in 2020, we started our first podcaster in residency program, started helping people start podcasts, giving them opportunities to shoot podcasts, executive coaches, shoot content. We started shooting our own educational content, right? Teaching a tech class for 30 people is great. How do you teach 3,000? Right? How do you teach 3 million? The only way you can do that is to create the content and then put it out through a learning management system. So that's what Koya Academy became. So we started P.A.C.E as a nonprofit in South Africa. We started an NGO in Nigeria. We started one in Ghana. And it's through the union is where we would create the curriculum and the content and the film to send to people, in other countries to learn. A few years ago, after I left YouTube, I just saw how empowering, man, like we were paying $5 and $8 million checks, man, to creators that, like, I'm not talking about your Mr. Beast of the world.
Right.
I'm talking about some Rudy Poot doctor in Iowa who's like, and you're like, what do they do? They're like a dermatologist, but their YouTube channel's popping. And I just realized, like, that's the creator economy people are talking about. And what does it look like to create a hub for the community to, like, have an entry ramp onto that, so you don't have to be able to afford lights, you don't have to be able to have cameras, you don't have to have the knowledge of how to do this. Like Carlos got it. We've been doing this for decades at this point. So it's that same model. How do I help somebody else do it in a month, right? You want to have a podcast. So that's what the union is. So we're 15, in addition to everything else we do, we have 15 podcast sets under one roof. Very modular design. We change things up however we need, and we help people in community bring storytelling and their visions to life. So yeah, the union does a lot, man. It's home, it's home base for us, but it's a Swiss Army knife for what the nonprofit and, more importantly, the community needs, right? And so that's why we've created it.
No, and I love that, and I feel like you're being a little modest on it, and I appreciate that. I've seen a lot of folks doing some amazing stuff down there, like kind of throwing out some things, but like I see tags, I see a lot of stuff comes on back to it, and then also beyond that, folks is having like events there. Right. And let them know, like, man, this is a space that, if you want to come do stuff, you're talking about wanting to invest in black business and be a part of collective economy and man, I want to spend black and literally like we get hired to do stuff and a lot of times it's hotels and I get it, if you're doing a 900 person gala, yeah, you got to be in the big space.
Yeah, you got to be there, but there's
tell me about what folks can activate in your space. You want to come do stuff, you're talking about wanting to invest in black business and be a part of collective economy and man, I want to spend black and literally like we get hired to do stuff and a lot of times it's hotels and I get it, if you're doing a 900 person gala, yeah, you got to be in the big space.
Yeah, you got to be there, but there's
tell me about what folks can activate in your space.
I think you and I talked about it before. Like I think I put a comment out that you hit me about. Was like it's really weird for me to watch everybody with these black narratives and white owned spaces.
Come on,
right?
Can we tap into that a little bit? That's what I want to lead to. But first, before we go there, let's just let them know what can happen in the space. So we got the podcast, but in terms of the events, like what can we do there?
Could dream, bro. Like so, the union itself, we have multiple spaces in the building that we're at. Our primary space is tailored to a 50 person and under kind of community focused networking kind of event. Like we're not a club, we're not a party place.
Right.
We very much don't want to be that. Like that's the energy you're on.
Much.
There's
we
a lot
about that life.
Like there's a lot of clubs you can go club. But if you're about like positive energy, growth, networking, community, we have, to your point, we have all exclusive black owned caterers. So every dollar you spend with us goes 7 times out into the community. That was very intentional for us, that every single one of our partners, whether it's our bartender company, our caterers that you're going to approve from a list, the cleaning people, like everything is a black owned business. So I think that's first and foremost. Outside of that, we are in the 12113 3rd building, which I believe is like the 8th tallest building on the West Coast. But we also have a partnership with the building where they let us activate other spaces within the building. So we have 20,000 square feet on the 20th floor. So we've thrown entire conferences. We've done think tanks, a plethora of events where you now can think about something you want to do that hosts thousands of people. We have partnerships with all of the event management companies from, Court to Pedersen. So we can make the space look like anything there is. So oftentimes, no knock on people. I watch... I think sometimes in our community, man, if for us, sometimes white water is wetter, right? And it's like people have these narratives around black things, black that, but they actually don't seek out black dollar spend.
Right.
And so I think that was the comment that I put out in the world.
Yeah.
And we don't actually care, bro, because we also know that like most people do it for the narrative and not the intentionality behind it.
And I feel that, but I feel like also there is those folks that do want to, and they're just not tapped in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like COVID was a weird time of like a lot of folks just shut down. Connects that we used to have, hitting them up. And they're not even in business no more, whatever, right? And then coming out of that, like even us, like we wasn't an AV company pre-COVID, you know what I'm saying? But we had cameras. And then we was like converged. Like I'm like, Omari, like we got to do something a little bit better. I got some cameras. Let me come down there. Me and Daryl was working, making that happen. But then that turned into UNCF was like, hey, we're still shut down, but can you help us with this virtual gala? We had the whole green screen and did the thing. And
it was like us in Kwanzaa. Like, for us, in 2020, we ran a whole live stream Kwanzaa
every night.
Every night.
I remember that.
Out of the union. And like people didn't I think people forgot. And it was like, rest in peace to Sister Vicky from Limbs, right? Because that, for me, Limbs was a very, like I told you, I'm a Kwanzaa kid.
Right.
So Limbs was very important for us because it's where I took my kids to be part of a Kwanzaa and a community celebration. So by no means were we trying to reinvent or take over what Kwanzaa was, but it was also this thing where I looked at this community and say, yo, we shut out. We can't be around each other. What does it look like to hold Kwanzaa? And so I reached out to a few other community orgs and it was like, what day y'all want? Like, everybody pick a day for Kwanzaa and then come to the union. We'll produce it. So some of it was pre-produced where we ran a video. But then we also were in there every day on a live stream, switching camera angles like a production studio.
I love it.
Wore us out. But like, to your point, I think there's an intentionality behind it. And I think, as we work to just be present in the community, like I have people on our team who are focused about the marketing and communications, and we're about to spin up more stuff starting this November, really to get this message out to community of like this resource that's there for them. Because for me, like you already said, like I'll put my head down, bro, and just go do my thing.
And again, and you'll be just fine. But what I'm seeing is like, man, there's folks that like, again, we'll get called in, and a lot of times, man, we're 6 months after they done put the deposit on the hotel, and I'm like, man, if you would have just hit up my people, you know what I'm saying, and we'll go into these spaces. But a lot of times they don't even realize like the hotel will have our preferred vendor, right?
So that's what got me to this, was being an event promoter. Right? And you know, I used to do events, like we used to do a lot of little vibe heavy joints around the city.
And they was popping.
Yeah, we used to do stuff, right? And the reason why a lot of my events got off the beaten path, it helped us because people's like, yo, vibe heavy events is different.
Right.
But the reason they were different is because I was going to these typical events venues that had their approved vendor list.
Right.
And it was never black company. So if I'm trying to bring Kun in or Taste of Caribbean in, they said, no, I got to order from Bob's Pretzels
Bob's
and
Burgers,
I'm like, I don't want that food. And I realized like, oh, that's economic power, bro.
Yeah.
Economic power is owning the space and dictating what people can do in the space.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, all right, bet we gonna go get a space where we get to dictate, like, all right, bet my media team, my homies that run catering companies, my people that run bar vending, and the people tell me, oh, I want to bring this outside company. I look at them, I say, sorry.
Right.
Or you can introduce them to me, and if I like them, then I may put them on the approved vendor list. But like more than likely, I won't, because we are being very intentional with cooperative economics.
And I love that. So yeah, folks, basically tap in.
Yeah. Theunion.io.
There we go. Website. There we go. If you just kind of playing, then it ain't for you anyway.
It's cool.
And that's fine.
We all right with that.
But
told you, no gray area.
Oh yeah, zero. But like, folks, that's intentional. All right, we created a space. You have it. You're teaching. It's an incubator for knowledge and whatnot. And from that, or in addition to, you know, it's kind of hilarious because, again, we go back, you know, a decade plus, and I've seen the evolution, but it's always just interesting for me, where it's like I'm constantly reinventing and just kind of finding the pivot and kind of sensing, like you said, you felt the AI wave before it even was hitting the shore, right? And for me, I'm kind of have my spidey senses up of like, all right, we need to kind of move this way or that way because something's coming. But it's interesting where I'm seeing, like, you know, pop-up podcasts at the Walk the Block event. Yeah. Right. And just seeing it. And again, how you were saying, like, oh, man, someone's doing some dope shit. I'm just seeing them like, these motherfuckers. I love it.
Yeah, we just came dreaming.
I love it. Bro. Y'all just set up a whole little vibe.
Will I stick? Yeah, throw it at the wall.
Yeah, tell little people about what that was, the folks that don't know, just kind of level set. So Wananari hosts a Walk the Block event.
Shout out to Wananari.
Yeah, they doing dope stuff, been doing dope stuff. We had a photo booth down there, and it's a bunch of, you know, community vendors and whatnot. So you guys was like, all right, let me see what we could do.
Yeah, man, I think the first one was the homie Melvin hit me right. He had got out, was wanted to put this thing called Blueprint for Seattle.
Yeah.
And hit me and was like, yo, bro, like, here's what I'm trying to do for the community. What do you think? I said, you had me a community, bro. Like, I just love the fact that you out, you in a halfway house, you trying to figure out how to put on for us. And he wanted to, like, have a live podcast. And it was funny because our team, we've been doing so much inside the union. And my team is kind of like you sometimes, like, yo, bro, we got to, the people. I'm like, screw the people, bro. I'm so busy with all this storytelling we doing for the clients that we already have. Like, if people want to find us, they'll find us. But then I heard my team, and I was like, all right, let's figure out how we take the union to the world. Right. Because everybody's not going to always walk inside the union. So part of our mission became, how do you build a professional studio out in the world that people don't know there is outside? Right. And so I designed over this, like I told you, I'm an architecture major. So we started like designing space, and I was like, all right, what could we do in a 10 by 10 tent? But like a tent by itself is not enough. You know what it takes to recreate this environment, right? It's got to have lights, you got to have cameras, you got to have the accoutrement,
right?
You know. So we had this thing where we're like, all right, we're gonna go do 5 pop-up, you know, storytelling things before the fall hits, before the rainy season hits. As a way to really go innovate. What does it mean to do podcasts outside of a studio at a high quality, high level? And so we picked, you know, a couple of events. We did Melvin's Blueprint for Seattle because that was community focused. Keisha with Hey Black Seattle had a youth salon that she was doing, and we were running a youth internship program. So we taught 4 high school students the ins and out of production this summer, for everything from camera A, B.
And bless your soul for that. We talked about that.
Ooh, love our babies. But yeah, man. So yeah. But that was a great opportunity because our youth then got a chance to produce this event for other youth, which was important. And so we popped up and we ran them through they did the whole thing, bro. They set up the tent, set up the furniture, set up the cameras. Like, it was all youth run. I just kind of sat back as in my executive producer chair, but watched the kids do it. And then Wananari popped up and was like, all right, we know Walk the Block. I love what Inye and Alicia are doing over there with that org. And just what they've done with Walk the Block and just their organization is just dope. So we wanted to support that. So I hit them like, yo, can we pop up outside with the podcast experience and just do storytelling of like community? So we did that. And that's what that tent was. And then on the outside, we put up a lot of the Black Panther posters.
That was filthy.
Because Seattle Black Panther documentary, which is being produced by Rick and Marcus Dupree, father-son duo, have actually been filmmaker residents in the union for the last couple of years. So that the union has been the headquarters for that documentary. So a lot of their interviews, their editing, a lot of their stuff happens out of that. I'm also the music supervisor for that film. So it was important to just kind of cross-pollinate this whole, like, yes, we're doing this pop-up studio, but putting these Black Panther things on the outside kind of shows that, like, the union is just this place where we tell Black story, capture Black joy, and we push Black narrative, and we drive Black innovation. And it really is, when you think about the term the union, it is this intersection of our tagline is community, commerce, creativity, and culture, and that's what we've been standing for downtown for 7 years. Is that
It's one of those things to talk about it, but it's like the execution is what I love. You've always been an executor, and a lot of times I admire the fact that I get to be privy to some of those pre-conversations where you're like, man, in a couple months I'll be doing this, I could doing that.
Yeah,
and
I don't tell too many people either. I ain't too much of an outward talker.
Right. I appreciate that. I literally don't think there has been a thing that you've put your mind to that hasn't hit. You may have.
Oh, I fail a lot, blood.
Right, but meaning that you don't do it. Like,
I'm going to do it.
That's what I mean. Because like you said, like, we don't really even believe in failure in the sense of like, oh, I'm just gonna go grab my bag or my ball and go home. It's like, we either gonna win or we gonna learn.
Yeah, that's the tuition. I call it tuition.
Come on. You know what I'm
like
saying?
the failure is to like, am I still breathing?
I love
am I
that.
here?
Tuition.
It's tuition.
Yeah.
Because I learned, like, I don't believe in failure, because if I don't learn something, bro, then that was a waste of my time.
Yeah, even the win could be a waste.
I got to go hard.
Right, if you ain't learning from
which means sometimes I'm going to fail real hard. But in that, I don't get down. Mm-hmm. I sit back, and I just, all right, next time, like, I bet.
Right.
And like, so on the next thing that I do hit, when people see that, like, oh, he up, right? Like, I look up because I was down 5 times.
Right.
This thing is up because of the things I learned when I was down over here, right? And so you just got to go hard, bro. Mm-hmm. You just got to go hard, yeah. Well, I learned that in tech companies. I remember being at Zillow. I took this gig with Zillow. I didn't really know who Zillow was. They were getting big around the time, and I led a lot of innovation for them, but I just needed a gig. I was on a startup. I was running out of money. So I was just like, who can I work for on LinkedIn? It was like this company, Zillow. And the thing I loved about them was that their office was down the block from the Vibe Heavy. Remember the Vibe Heavy office we had down on Western and Belltown?
Yeah.
When we was doing the joints back in the day. See, if you came to them parties, them was ill, right?
Yeah.
Their office was down the street, and I was running out of money. So I was like, I'm going to go get this job. But I told my team, like, I used to ride my bike every day back and forth between Zillow and my team, and I was paying them with the Zillow money. But I was just like, I talked my way through the interview, real estate company. Okay, you do this thing. And so as I'm getting in the company, I realized that, bro, they had been around for 9 years when I started with them. And I was just learning who they were.
Right.
And I was like,
and you're someone that's tapped in.
And I'm like, y'all been around. And there was this thing at Microsoft, I used to call it V3. Like, we don't get anything right to the 3rd version of a product.
Right.
And there's this thing from our community where we expect instant wins.
Right. Instant gratification.
Where we don't realize that, like, a lot of this journey is a lot of L's. Like, when I started at Xbox, we went $1 billion into the red.
Wow.
Xbox One lost Microsoft $1 billion.
Wow.
A B.
Right.
So I'm on this team, and I'm like, I'm looking at this like, yo, we lost $1 billion? Xbox 360, we were $1 billion in the black.
Wow.
So we went $1 billion in a hole, came back out 2 Bs.
Right.
Like, the kind of, like, longevity.
Shout outs to Halo.
Tenacity, forward thinking, perseverance. You also got to be able to survive that.
Right.
right? Like, so there's this thing that now I have the benefit of having seen a longer arc of what success looks like when you move on something else. So I don't expect instant gratification. I don't care if I do something, nobody shows up. Did I execute what I said I was going to execute? Whether somebody did it, if somebody doesn't buy it, they didn't buy it, but it's the product, that the quality. And this is the thing where I'm even telling, I just bought this shoe shop.
Right.
The previous owner, he and I don't look at the quality of things the same way. He's okay with pushing something out that I personally wouldn't put my name on.
Right.
And so what I had to tell my team was like, y'all in here training with him, but you're done training with him at this point. Now you can't go out at this quality. Because so now I come in and I'm like, nah, we got to do this a little bit more. We got to do X. Now I've learned enough about the business. Like, I'm a cobbler now. Right. So now I can say, nah, this thing is not right. Right.
And follow him on socials, and you can see some of those exclusive videos. Like, he's literally in the works.
I'm cobblering.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I go to leatherwork classes. Like, I'm now studying leatherwork up north with a master leatherworker. That's what you saw. He was like, shout out to the old head Pierre, man. Like, Pierre trained under people who makes luxury bags for Prada and Gucci and Louis. He lives out here though, and so I sit up under him and I'm learning everything from tooling to needlework to like, hand doing these bags. I had my man just drop me off like 12 vintage from Japan.
Yeah, I was about to say,
pulled up on me like, yo, all right, we got these vintage bags. I see you ready to get to work. Like, you working? I'm like, let's go. So I'm doing them to learn the process, because these old bags, bro, they had a different level of craftsmanship to them. So we're restoring them. And like, my next one is like, after I get through these classes, bro, like in spring, I'm heading to Japan to go sit up under some of the master leather workers in Japan to learn Japanese leather work with their tools and their process, right? So that we can bring that back here. And like, for me, my next hurrah, bro, is on this whole like luxury artisan. Like, that's like, I always got to be learning something new, bro. Like, the new dopeness for me now is like, can we go make our own shoe, our own bags, we always been the culture.
Right.
So like, if I could learn what Louis and Gucci and Prada and them do, and then bring that back here to Northwest and teach some young brothers and sisters how to do it, like, we about to be up.
Always keep learning, right? Always keep growing, reinvent yourself. Also, just follow your joy. I think that's part of that story too. Yeah. Where you're saying like, that's kind of always been a part of you.
Another part of, bro, I'm a 2-time stage 4 cancer survivor.
That part.
Right? So like, I faced death twice. Both times, bro, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like make it. And so there's this thing that like, the real currency of this planet is time. Like, I don't care about money. Like, I used to be money driven. I don't really care about money, bro. Like, I care about like, what am I doing with my time? So when I wake up and the Most High is giving me more time, I sit here and think about what I want to do with it. How I want to spend it, who I want to spend it with, what I want to spend it on. Like, that's what we spend it. We don't spend money, we spend time. I look at my portfolios, I look at money, because you got to live. But for the most part, I'm like, what do I want to learn? Where do I want to go? I've traveled the world. I've done it. Like, I've done it a few times. But like, now I get to say, I'm not interested in going over there. I'm going to go back to this place that I love, because that's where I want to spend my time with these people. Like, Ghana's a second home for me. Not because I can't go to other parts of the continent, but because I got a family and I got people, and I found spirit there that feeds me. So I go back there because that's where I want to spend my time. So now I want to spend my time on leather work. I want to spend my time doing these things. So it's just, I think it's all about like
making hot sauce chips.
Yeah, bro.
I love it.
Time, bro.
All of it. No, that's so true. And shout out. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, no, but, I'm okay talking about it. I show it.
Yeah.
I went through my health. Rest in peace to D'Angelo, bro. Like, I always get touched when I watch brothers and sisters pass, and they did it in silence. Because I think there's something about letting the world pray for you. That's healing energy. And so I feel bad when I see people like transition in silence.
Right.
I wouldn't have been here if there wasn't a whole world of people praying for me. Probably some not too, but the ones who was praying for me totally outweighed the ones that wasn't.
Absolutely.
I always tell people, if you can show people when you up, you gotta be able to show them when you down. That's the journey. Like, I'd be fake if I was only on Instagram showing ups. I want to show downs, because like, you gonna then appreciate my up. My next up, you're gonna be like, damn, bro. My homie was laying up in a hospital bed 3 years ago getting a stem cell transplant as a bubble boy. Now he just bought a shoe shop and he making shoes and traveling. Like, you ain't got no excuse.
At all.
Man, we need to take this stuff serious, bro. And I think that's part of, like, I just came from the whole like Tubman Health Gala. Shout out to them and what they doing for the community around health and consciousness.
Yeah, Brother Curtis was
Sure,
there.
shout out to the Brother Curtis,
Yeah,
man.
we
Curtis
had
got
him on
home
our
going.
podcast,
He going through
same
his
shit.
battle. You know what I mean? I love like he gave one of the most powerful speeches, and it was so funny because he was talking. He was like, "Yo, pardon me if I forget something. It's the chemo," and that shit hit me in my heart because I'm like, "Yo, that chemo fog is real.
Yeah,
like you forget things, but it's like it's not they not gone permanently. They come back. You know, so." Shout out to that brother. And it's just the more we can have these conversations in our community, like the more it might save somebody else's life. Because I think if we can demystify health and the fear around it, like I was talking at the Tubman, like why people don't get checked. The brother asked me, I said, I think there's something about our community. We always duck in mortality. And so like going to the doctor is like this thing where you got to face death and this possibility of it, but it's going to happen to us anyway.
Either
Like
way.
none of us are getting out of here alive.
Right.
So you might as well attack it with the chance of like deflecting it, prolonging it, like throwing it out. And so I talk about it because, man, now the amount of brothers and sisters who call me privately, yo, here's what I'm dealing with. Like, yo, here's my vitamin routine. Here's this machine I want you. Like, I'm always like cancer dude talking to people, right? I don't got to do it publicly, but it's like, yo, there's a lot of people that I've helped navigate their cancer battles. You know why? Just like this coding shit and this other shit, nobody helped me navigate mine. When I went through mine, I couldn't find nobody to talk to. Right? Because most people keep it to themselves. They battle in silence, right? And so I think there's this thing that's broken in our community where we got to let people know, like, yo, bro, night sweats ain't common. So if you sitting up here and you in your sleep and you waking up in your bed and your bed is fucking drenched and you putting down towels, go see a doctor, tell them check you for cancer. Period. That's your body telling you, like, and there's so many warnings that happen. Like I'm a 2-time stage 4 cancer survivor. Like that's not normal. Right? I acknowledge that. So hence why I also like give back so much to the community, because I know the ancestors got me here for a purpose that's greater than me. But like there's another part of it, like, yo, they could have called it a stage 1 or stage 2. And so for me, Combat Jack was a brother in the industry who lost his life to cancer years ago. And I didn't know Combat Jack personally, but I had a lot of friends. We had like 1 or 2 degree separations. I watched how his passing rippled through the music industry in New York. Like the amount of people who was just hurt, that I was like, yo, I'm going to go get checked. Like his passing made me say, I'm going to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor in January, and I told them all these symptoms I had, and they told me, I was okay. And I had just like stopped smoking blunts. So they was like, oh, it's the nicotine. And one doctor said to me, it might be, I get excited when I see some of this because it could be cancer. And I looked at him, I said, you get excited because you think it could be? And the dude was like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. But they didn't do no test on me. That June, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Shit.
So I had actually gone to the doctor.
Right.
So there's these things where like I had the best insurance in the planet, and people weren't even checking me because I'm black. Like we don't talk about the racism and inadequacies in the healthcare system for black and brown folks.
Right.
So like even when you can pay for it and do it, they not checking for you. So I think it's just really important for us to understand like how we have to advocate for ourselves, how we have to show up for ourselves. And so the only way that I can have somebody feel comfortable about doing that for themselves is me and Carlos Imani sitting down having a conversation and somebody watch it. And we talked about earlier, like, to me, that's the battery. Screw this entrepreneurship shit. Like, if I could save somebody's life through health, bro, that's it.
I had Brother Daryl Glover and Curtis here talking about it's interesting that you have mentioned that allowing the world to pray for you, right? And that's why I invited them. Actually, was episode 1 of starting this, because they were both going through a relapse. And I was like, I was talking to both of them independently. I was like, man, I need to get you guys on here.
Yeah.
For one is, when you first post it, people's like, oh, this, that, the other. But what about the next 9 months? Some people might even realize that that's what you guys are going through, because you are doing it in silence, because you think you don't want to be a burden.
People don't know how to show up for you, man, because it's a trauma. What we have to realize is it's a trauma for everybody.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I came out the first time was because I was watching my moms and my wife suffer in silence.
Right.
Because they're missing meetings. They're people expecting, but they like, my son, husband is in chemo, fighting for his life. They think he about to die.
I'm here.
And he hasn't said anything. So I'm watching them mess up their business. I'm laying up like, yo, why y'all ain't tell the people? They like, well, you ain't said nothing. We didn't want your business out there. They thinking they holding a secret for me.
Right.
I never told them not to say nothing to nobody, but they felt like they couldn't talk.
Right.
So that's when I first came on Facebook. Was like, yo, I'm coming out the cancer closet. And then when I did it, I went to them and I was like, so now if somebody asks you something, point them to this post and tell them what you dealing with. Because I think there's this whole thing of just like, showing up for people, man. And I think sometimes what I know, having gone through the battle, is sometimes you don't want to be bothered. And the best thing, like, I unplugged. I think a lot of people think that I was mad at them for something. Like, I stopped following a bunch of people on social media. It wasn't because they did anything. We talk about energy. I couldn't absorb their energy. I needed all of my energy for the healing of my body.
Right.
Which means mind, body, and spirit needed to be focused on what I was focused on, which was like telling every cell of my body, you about to transform. I don't care what you twerking. I don't care what you did this weekend.
Right,
I don't
right.
care what clothes you just bought. Like, happy, love you, sorry. But like, I unfollowed everybody. And so for me, I just haven't gotten back to, like, there are people that I still sometimes come back to every day, and I'm like, oh, follow back. And they probably like, yo, why you unfollow me?
Right.
Because, like, oh, you might have forgot that, like, or didn't even register that I was going through something, and it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with me controlling my mind space.
Protect your energy, control your energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, for folks that's out there that might be dealing with something or think they might be, go get checked out for sure.
Shout out to Tubman, man. Tubman Health in the hood, man. Like, I just so appreciate the work that they doing, just coming from their gala. You know, Akia, shout out to her for just even inviting me and how she's showing up in community. Curtis spoke at the gala because he's on the board, and he's like, yo, he says, I'm a patient and I'm a board member. And I thought to myself, man, how blessed is he to be around a place that's going to put love on him.
Right, that cares.
That cares.
Yeah.
Because I was over at Swedish where ain't nobody care. I was trying to convince them that these African herbs I'm taking is, you know, not about to conflict with the chemo, and like nobody even cared to understand what I was trying to do. So I just think that, like, the more we have, it gets back to this whole point of the union, like the more we have black institutions in our community purpose built for us, whether that's creator economy or workforce development or tech education or health awareness or real estate or like whatever it is, like we just got to get to this place where we are building our own institutions, right? And we got to understand that just like it's okay and we dealing with years of colonization, and just white water ain't wetter.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. But I mean, like you said, it's just mindset, and I think it's a form of like imposter syndrome, where it's like they have their own insecurities of being in the position that they're in, right? Position of power, they're in charge of this budget, and they have fear of like, man, am I doing the right thing? So then they put that on you. Like, oh, I can't hit you up because I don't believe you are good enough.
Oh, the worst thing to deal with, the worst people I hate dealing with is black folks in white systems. Bring me the white person. Like, black VCs or black cops.
Right.
Like, because when they inside of us, it's this imposter syndrome of just them having to not acknowledge who they are to be in that system.
In the opposite direction.
The overseer, bro.
Yeah.
They the one on plantation. Massa ain't even asked for that. I'm gonna whoop you before Massa even asked me to, because I just want to show Massa that I'm holding it down.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird, bro.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a funny energy. That's funny. You said that. Just bring me the white person.
It's hard to move with any intentionality and integrity. When you look in the mirror, do you like what looks back at you? That's my compass. I call it coming up for air. It's an acronym: accountability, introspection, and being retrospective. And I do those three things daily. If I do something in that I feel like I moved wrong on, I take accountability. I reach out to a person. Hey, we can never not talk. You can always re-meet people, right? Like, you could have wronged me last month, and if you had some growth, I'll give you an opportunity to re-meet you if you come correct, and then we can figure out a path forward. So I'm always willing to re-meet people from my community. Introspective is I'm always going to look back at myself and go like, man, what's going on? How am I processing? And then running a retro, bro, is just like, where did this thing go wrong? And what systems and what things can I change about my life so that never happens again? I can't keep other things from happening, but I should be able to pull the pattern out of that thing, and that should never happen again. So I just call that coming up for air. It's what I teach my kids, man. Just accountability, introspection, and being retrospective, man. Just come up for air a lot.
Because, that's what we're doing it for, right? It's like, how can we set them up in a world that was better than we was in, but then allowing them and understanding their stuff that we can't control.
I tell my kids all the time, like, I don't even understand the world that y'all growing up in. I'm just trying to parent you through the things I understand.
Right. And hopefully I give you the tools so you can navigate it.
You'll understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it means to, like, I didn't grow up in, for instance, I didn't grow up in Seattle.
Right.
I didn't go to more predominantly white private schools.
Right.
That's what you're doing. I don't know how to help you navigate that. So talk to me about some that rules for you. Like
Right.
I'm giving you a brain to think. I'm giving you some game. I tell my
That's
daughters
true.
all the time, your only job is to not be game goofy.
There we go. There we go.
All of my stuff kind of intertwines back to the same thing, whether it's entrepreneurship, fashion, media, parenting. You got to follow that internal compass, right? And like that's the elite insight.
Do you right? Do you like who you see? You know,
That's
do I
it.
like this father? Do I like this leader? Do I like this follower? Do I like any of the above? Do I like this person on this
Do I like
this hell
myself?
journey? Yeah.
Am I okay? Am I okay with my measuring stick? People gonna go out in the community and say whatever they want to say about you, but what do you say about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if anybody wants to take the time to get to know you, they'll get to know you, or they can get the time to get to know the narrative. I don't really care what people think. I've never really cared what people think. I care about how consistently I show up. And I think there's one thing about me is like, you can meet people from my childhood to my yesterday. They're gonna be like, yo, that dude's consistent. Like, he's always been this dude.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over the decades, there's definitely been a consistency for sure.
And that's it, bro. And that helps people either get in my path or get out of it.
Right.
It avoids the gray area. I'm going to be consistent. So when I tell you I am who I am, like, that's who I am.
Me.
Believe me. And if that's not what you want to be around, don't. Right? But
Right.
don't decide when it benefits you or when it doesn't. Like, that's the whole thing, the usury of people, like, trying to figure out how they can always use you
Right.
for their benefit. Right? And so, like, I don't know. I just come, New York is a special place. New York is a special, we get this thing where we call it aggressive. We're not. We're just very direct. And we care about our time. We impatient and we direct individuals. And like, but New York and New Yorkers are some of the most caring, loving people.
Oh yeah.
Like, when they mess with you,
Right. When you're in, you're in.
they rock with you. And
Absolutely.
it's because we don't have that middle ground.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all in or we not.
No gray area.
Yeah.
We could go on forever.
Yeah,
And I know you're busy man. I
Let's
value your
wrap.
time.
I'm sure I blew through a
we got
meeting
a little
right now. Somebody gonna be like, well, we supposed to be on this call.
Yeah, this quick fire round. What's your favorite innovation or app that's shaping workflow right now?
The thing that I use a lot of is a platform called Coda. If some people might know, like Notion.
Okay, yeah.
But I use a competitor to them called Coda. It's like a Google suite of apps on steroids with a bunch of integrations. So between Coda, Typeform, and Zapier, I'm building some really amazing automation processes for me to move data between places, automate me. A lot of my I hate repetitive tasks. So yeah, I think I'm on product. That question is loaded because it depends on what day, what
Right.
brain I got on. But
Right.
like,
Which business?
Yeah, which business. But I think the consistent thing between all my stuff is like all of my businesses, regardless of where they are, I'm using Coda, Typeform,
Right.
Zapier, whether it's point of sale data, whether it's interview, but like regardless of what it is, I'm automating data.
No, I love that.
I'm a geek.
What's one book or idea that's influencing your thinking these days?
I read a lot of various things. Pedagogy of the Oppressed is the most recent thing I picked up. But I think for me, everybody knows like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It's a good text. There's a second book he wrote called Outwitting the Devil that I'm a fan of. Outwitting the Devil is it really goes deeper into the application of the principles in Think and Grow Rich and Art of War.
There we go. Classic. What would be a dream collaboration for C619 or the Union?
A dream collaboration would be intentional Black folks really building a cooperative economy. There's no one collaboration. There's all of us coming together with intentionality. I wonder if it's going to happen in my lifetime. Man, how great would we be if we took this buying power and this soft power that we use to power other people's cultural machines and did it for ourselves? The whole thing would turn upside down.
You had mentioned earlier about like you saw the AI wave coming beforehand, but do you got a hot take on what's the next big shift in culture or community building?
I actually think it goes backwards before it goes forward. I think humanity, what makes us human, are the five senses. Those of us who are privileged enough to have the five senses, sight, taste, touch, hearing, seeing. I get worried for a society that stops using its brain and relies on computers to like do these things for it. The amount of chat GPT emails I'm getting from people, whatever, it's just, it's nauseating. You didn't think this thing. Because I still think and I still process. So I read this thing and I'm like, this is not you. And you don't even understand the thing that this thing is trying to represent as you. And I think this younger generation is funny. Like, I think people are going to miss turning pages and tactile responsive things and using their brains and like skill development. So I'm hoping this thing actually goes back before it goes forward again. I think we're in a weird time with AI. I think it's overhyped. I thought Web3 and crypto was overhyped. I think we have this FOMO thing where everybody's like, most of the AI startups that I'm looking at are not actually companies. They're UI and UX on top of LLMs. They're not really anything. Everybody wants to be an agent, build an agent. Ugh.
Over it.
I'm so over it, bro. I'm so over it because the thing that's lacking is skill. For this thing to be a compliment to you, you still got to know how to engage with it and what you want out of it. You got to be able to like decipher, like, is this information is giving me the right direction? Just because it gave you something doesn't mean. And so I actually think we're also going into this world, this age of cannibalism, where the early stages of AI was it being trained on real world data. Now it's being trained on the stuff that it's creating. It's eating itself. People are feeding back documents that were AI generated into AI as if it's an equal knowledge source. And so you're going down this cannibalism loop that's just like, it's so inauthentic. It's a space for efficiencies and automations.
Absolutely. But it will never replace like true art, true thinking, true creativity.
It's in the name. It's artificial.
Yeah.
So I always thinking about like, at most for me, people have created this pyramid where it's like humans and AI, but I actually think about it as a complement. Like, it's your intelligence paired with artificial intelligence, and then nothing beats ancestral intelligence.
There you go. And then lastly, just want to, you got your camera over here if you want to let folks know how to connect with you and what's the best way to tap in if they want to enter into the apprenticeship program, or you know they want to mentor or any of those things. First off, don't be whack. But then if you check that box, what's the next step?
Listen, I'm trying to fire myself from all of it, so it won't matter what you're doing. I mean, I'm real easy to tap into. There's rarely a time when somebody that looks like me doesn't reach out to me on LinkedIn and they don't get a no. They might get a not right now, or use this link, schedule me. So holler at me on LinkedIn, hit me on IG. Pull up to one of our events. We're always posting something that we're doing. Just be authentic, man. Be community minded, community focused. I always ask people in anything, like, if I pour into you, how you pouring into others? And so I think too many people want to pick your brain, but they don't show up and say, this is how I build in my community. So for me, it's just always be thinking about lifting others as you climb. And if you tap in with me with that spirit, man, I'm tapping back. It's real simple. Just be about the hood.
Thank you all for tapping in with us. Elite Insights with Carlos Imani. Peace.